Auzu billahi mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, friends, we are looking at the 14th lemma, the first station. This part answers two questions. While reading these comparisons, we see that enemies of religion try to attack us. They take certain verses or hadiths, look at their literal surface meaning, or sometimes meanings that have been twisted, and they launch their attacks from there. We've always given this example, the hadith that says, the world rests on a bull and a fish. They constantly abuse this narration to mock the faith. So now our master, Ustad Bediüzzaman, gives a beautiful answer here across 3 or 4 pages. He reveals the truth of that hadith, saying, this is what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, actually meant. Let's read it, God willing. In the name of Allah, peace be upon you, my dear, loyal brother Rifat Bey. Rifat Bey. Brother Rifat has so many questions. It's even said that maybe 2/3 or 1/3 of the mektubat, the letters, consists of answers to his questions. He was a very curious brother, always asking things. So the master says to him, you asked about the bull and fish. The answer relies on 12 principles explained in the 25th word. These principles are crucial. When interpreting hadiths, what should we pay attention to? What rules must we follow? Those principles are like a touchstone. When you apply them, you see if the meaning people give to a hadith is true or false. It clears away doubts, the master says. Right now, I have some states that prevent me from engaging with intellectual issues unless they come by inspiration. Sunuhat. You see, our Ustad, when he deals with these matters, he doesn't just sit down and write with his own logic or will. He looks at matters through inspiration from God. He is saying, unless it comes to my heart as an inspiration, I am forced to be busy with my own worship. He says, my own business is my priority. But he adds, since this question aligns with the inspiration, I will answer. Don't be offended. This is a lesson for us too. Every student of the RİSALE-İ Nur should have their own daily lesson, a topic they are studying seriously. If someone asks a question, you answer, but then you return to your own duty. We shouldn't let others' questions completely steer our focus. But anyway, he says, okay, I will give a short answer to your question this time. So you say in your question, the religious teachers, Hojjas, say the earth rests on a bull and a fish, but geography and science say the earth hangs in space like a star traveling in an orbit. There is no bull, there is no fish. I mean, nowadays with the advancement of science and discovery, this has become a very ordinary topic, right? Everyone knows the world is round, floating in the ether ocean of space, traveling on an orbit, but there is a narration from the Prophet saying otherwise. So how do we solve this? The Prophet said it, so we have to figure it out. Here is the answer. There is a sound narration attributed to Ibn Abbas. They asked the Prophet, what is the world standing on? He said, on the bull and the fish. Ale Sevri Vel Hut. In one narration he mentions both, in another he mentions just one. Here is the issue. Some narrators of Hadith took stories from Israeliyat, old Jewish folklore and legends, and applied them to this Hadith. Before Islam, there was Judaism, Christianity, the Torah, the Bible, and there were lots of cultural stories. Legends about snakes, bulls, giant fish, dragons, eagles. When some Jewish scholars converted to Islam, they brought some of that old information with them. They saw bull and fish in the Hadith and said, aha, we know a story about this from our old books. And they mixed it up. So a superstition entered Islam. So we have three main principles to understand this. First principle: if you see a meaning that looks like a superstition, something completely against reason, logic, and science, it is definitely not from Islam. It's not the property of Islam. The Prophet who ascended to the Miraj and saw the truths of the universe wouldn't speak nonsense. We must say, this superstitious part leaked in from somewhere else. It's like if a fake coin falls into a treasure chest, it doesn't make the whole treasure fake. You just pick it out and throw it away. Second principle: metaphors and analogies. When a metaphor moves from the hands of the learned, scholars, to the hands of the ignorant, common people, it eventually gets taken literally. It turns into a scientific error. Let me give you a personal example from the text. Ustad says, when I was a child, there was a lunar eclipse. The moon went dark. I asked my mother, why did the moon get like this? She said, a snake has swallowed it. I said, he said, but mom, I can still see it there. She replied, no, oh, the snakes up in the sky are like glass. They are transparent, so you can see what's inside them. See? Once you say something, you have to back it up. She had to invent the glass snake to make it fit. Ustad says, I used to wonder, how can serious people like my mother believe such a superstition? Later, when I studied astronomy, I realized what happened. The path of the sun and the path of the moon are circles. Because the moon's orbit is tilted about 5 degrees, these two circles cross each other at 2 points. Astronomers call these intersection points the head and the tail, and they call the whole arc the two great dragons or the two snakes, Thinanain. Why? Because the orbit looks like a snake moving. It's a scientific diagram. So when the moon passes through that intersection point, the snake's mouth, the earth comes between the sun and moon, casting a shadow. An eclipse happens. The astronomers say the moon entered the dragon's mouth. It's a metaphor, a scientific term. But when my mother hears dragon, she thinks of a real giant beast in the sky eating the moon. I remember in university our professor was teaching electrical circuits. He said, find the tree in the circuit. We calculated and found the tree. Now, if an outsider heard that, they'd say, what? There's a wooden tree inside the wires? No wonder it causes fires? No, it's just a shape resemblance. So just like the snake was a scientific term that became a superstition, the bull and fish are metaphors that people took literally. Third principle: just as the Quran has allegories, mutashabihat, for deep truths, hadiths do too. For example, once everyone heard a loud boom in the Prophet's presence. Everyone was scared. The Prophet said that is the sound of a stone that has been rolling down into hell for 70 years and just hit the bottom. A few minutes later, news came. A famous hypocrite who was 70 years old just died. The stone was a metaphor for his life. He lived 70 years, descending into sin, and now he hit the bottom of hell. Now let's explain the bull and fish with these principles. The first meaning The universe is filled with angels. God appointed angels to watch over the universe. There are angels carrying the throne. Arsh, and for the earth, which is like a little brother to the heavens, there are two guardian angels appointed. Their names are Saver, ox, and Hut, fish. Why these names? Because the earth is land and water, the land is plowed by the ox. The sea is populated by the fish, so the angels guarding these realms are named after them. In the spirit world, maybe they actually take the form/image of an ox and a fish. Also, imagine the earth floating in the ocean of space. It's like a giant ship or a fish swimming. So the angel steering it is fish, and the earth is a farm for the afterlife. You reap what you sow. Farming is done with oxen. So the angel overseeing the farm aspect is ox. It fits perfectly. The second meaning, if someone asks, what does the state rest on? And I say, it rests on the sword and the pen. If a child goes to the capital city, will he see a giant sword and a giant pen holding up the buildings? No, he understands. It rests on the power of the army, sword, and the justice laws of the scholar's pen. Similarly, the prophet idiot was explaining that human life on earth rests on the ox and the fish. Why? Because we need food to live. Our food comes either from the land, agriculture, or the sea. Agriculture depends on the ox, especially back then. The sea depends on the fish. If the ox stops working and the fish stop laying millions of eggs, humanity dies. Life collapses. So literally, our survival rests on them. The prophet taught a huge economic and sociological truth in just two words. The third meaning, the astronomical one. This is amazing. In the old days, they thought the sun revolved around the earth. But modern science says the earth revolves around the sun. The sun has an orbit, the zodiac, with 12 signs like Leo, Lion, Libra, Scales, Taurus, Bull, Pisces, Fish. These are shapes formed by stars. Now, since the earth is actually the one moving, it passes through the shadow or the projection of these signs. It's like a mirror. When the prophet was asked, what is the earth on? He said, on the bull. Because at that specific month, the earth's position was aligned with the constellation Taurus, the bull. A month later, he was asked again. He said, on the fish, because the earth had moved in its orbit to the sign of Pisces. He was indicating the motion of the earth. He was giving a lesson in high astronomy by saying, once on the bull, once on the fish. He was showing that the earth travels and performs a duty. So, friends, in conclusion, if you see stories in Islamic books about giant fish causing earthquakes by shaking their tails, or an ox balancing the world on its horns, those are either Jewish folklore mixed in or metaphors that people misunderstood. Don't attribute those superstitions to the Prophet. The Prophet's words are deep, scientific, and meaningful. And a final note, don't write your own explanations. Inside the books of RİSALE-İ Nur, Ustad warned against this. If you write a note, years later someone might think it's part of the original text, And if your note is wrong, it corrupts the text, just like those old narrations got mixed up. Keep the text pure. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. الفاتحة.